initially what inspired me was the setting. The setting came first, and it's actually based on a real place where we are today, which is a manor house called Owlpen Manor, which is in a valley in the middle of nowhere really in Gloucestershire. And I went there for a journalist travel piece that I was doing when I was a journalist. And I just thought it was the most incredible place. It was full of atmosphere. I actually didn't sleep terribly well because I was being a bit paranoid about ghosts because it's supposed to be haunted. And I just thought, wow, this is such a good place to set a story. And the first scene I wrote was actually Alice, my main character, arriving at Owlpen Manor, which is my version of Owlpen Manor. And I had this scene for quite a long time. I didn't know why she was there. I didn't know what she was going to do or what was going to happen to her. But I knew I wanted to get her there, and I wanted her to have this incredibly sort of amazing, life-changing summer, but that was also quite claustrophobic and quite confining. So that's where I began, and that's where the inspiration started. I think probably the main sort of theme is the idea of women in society and the roles that have been sort of pressed upon them in history. The two women the book covers, obviously Alice in the 1930s, Elizabeth in the 1890s, both under completely different pressures, but both very confined in their roles. You know, Alice gets pregnant and, you know, in the 1930s, I think it's easy to forget how difficult that would have been, how impossible that would have been actually for a respectable girl. She really didn't have any choices. I mean, abortions are illegal. You know, she wasn't married, so her reputation would have been ruined. She would have been unmarriageable after that. And women like her would have been sent to mother and baby homes. In my novel, she's sent to Owlpen Manor instead. In Elizabeth Stanton's case, she's somebody who's suffered in the past with postnatal depression. She's terrified of it returning because, I don't want to give too much away, but she's completely at the mercy of her husband, basically. Women in those days were. As soon as you became married, you kind of gave up all your rights, in a sense. You were invisible in a legal way. Another theme, I think, is the idea of the past encroaching on the present. So, you know, coming to claim the present in a way. And you see that in Alice, getting more and more involved in the story of Elizabeth. And kind of almost getting, it's not a time slip novel, there's no kind of time travelling. But in a sense, the past is everywhere. She's haunted by the past. There's a line in the book that says the real ghosts are the ones that take up residence in your mind. And I think that's what, although originally it started off as a ghost story, it then became that. So it was more of a psychological haunting. So people who are full of regret and can't get over things that have happened and are stuck in the past, like Mrs. Jelves can't get over not having her mistress around anymore. That's the kind of sense I wanted to get over. So although there's lots of sort of sensations and feelings which are kind of ostensibly quite ghostly, and people having strange dreams and being afraid in the middle of the night, there are no kind of ghosts with clanking chains coming along. But I wanted people to sort of feel a bit, you know, reading it, hopefully. I wanted that atmosphere. But really, it's about, it's the ghosts that people create themselves because they can't move on. So what I hope readers will take away from the novel, particularly female readers, I suppose, what I'd like them to take away from it is really a sense of relief that they are living in the times that they are. Obviously, there's a huge way to go still, particularly in other parts of the world from a feminist point of view. But what I found compelling about writing about Elizabeth and Alice was the lack of choice they had and the lack of autonomy they had over their own lives. And that would be terrifying for me, the idea of maybe being locked up in my room because I felt a bit depressed, the idea of being sent away from everyone I know because I've been silly enough to get pregnant by a man who's with somebody else. You know, these are things that could still happen to us all today. And I wanted people to think, well, yes, it's quite a romantic book in some senses in that it's got a strong sense of the past, but actually these were real horrific problems that women were living under. So I'd like them to take away the kind of idea that actually we don't have to worry about those sort of things as much anymore. I also want them to take away a real sense of the place. I hope, you know, if somebody said to me, the book really stayed with me because I kept thinking about what happened at the end, and also about the place, and the kind of, it's a world that I could escape into for a while, and that stuck with me. I'd be over the moon, because I think all the books I love best have that strong sense of place. And if I've sort of managed to do anything like that, then I'm very happy.